Today I'm installing the navigation lights from Specialty Marine on my 1983 Outrage 18. Got left and a right, green is the right, left is the red. A couple things I want to point out. To install these seem to be good quality. We've got either a green or a red LED followed by the green or the red lens. To install them, the first thing you want to do is take out the three Phillips screws from the top of the unit. Take those three screws out, and then that will simply, if you take those three screws out, this metal piece will just come right off of it, followed by the lens. And then you'll have the base here with three holes to mount into your boat. So that's what we're going to install and actually screw that into the boat, and then we'll put the lens and the metal piece, screw that in on top after it's installed on the boat. A couple things to note how you want to attach this to your boat. The wiring, you'll strip the wire back depending on how it came. I was testing it earlier to make sure everything worked when I was rewiring my boat. Strip this back down to give yourself a little bit of room here. I'm going to install these connections with some quick connect terminals here. Male on one side, female on the other. These are heat shrink. These are marine grade heat shrink terminals. Let me get up close so you can see what they look like. This is the male side. That's right, that was the female side. Here's the male side. So it's heat shrink tube on one side. Put the wire in there, crimp it down with your crimper, use a heat gun. That's one option. You could solder the two wires together and then put some heat shrink on top of it. It's best if you use something that's rated for water, marine grade, to help keep corrosion and potential issues of connectivity or pulling loose. Keep that from happening to you. So I'm going to start on my left side over here on the boat, and we'll go from there. There are three screw holes. So you've got these three larger screw holes, which is what will be screwed down to the boat. They've got a tapered hole, so depending on if you've got existing holes in your boat that you're reusing or if you're drilling new ones, use a screw that's got a tapered head that'll sit nice and flush. Doesn't need anything too big or crazy. But those three larger holes are what will go into the boat. These three other smaller holes around the perimeter, that's what this top of this unit is going to screw down into from the top. Why that's important is it'll be very important when you mount this into your boat that you have it turned the correct way. Of course, with the navigation lights, if you don't know, they're supposed to be visible from directly in front of you to, I think it's 22 degrees off to the side and to the left or the right. And so you need to make sure this gets turned the correct direction. So it might be useful for you to line this thing up, maybe put one screw in it, set it down in your boat to make sure you have the lens turned so that it's pointing straight ahead and then off to the side and slightly back. And then you can take that off, mark your holes in your boat, and drill those out. My particular screws I'm using for this, my drill bit's going to be, I think, a 5/64, if I remember correctly. 7/64 for my particular screws. So what I'm going to do for this one on the left, I'll come back to that about that seal. I'm going to go and put my cap back on here. I'm just going to put one screw back in, just a little bit. So that you can line that up. Let's come over here to the boat. So there's my existing hole I've got. I got my wires in there. I pushed them down for the time being so I could set this down in here. Set that down in the hole. Make sure it's a good fit. And then we'll actually put, it's kind of a snug fit, so I'm going to go ahead and put the second screw in here just slightly. There we go. That way this thing will kind of rotate with me. And then you can step back, look at it from the front or the back to make sure you have this thing pointed in the correct direction. So this angle here, of course, wants to point straight. You need to make sure that's pointed straight forward. So you can just kind of look down the side of your boat, make sure that's pointed the correct way. All right, that looks good. That's good. Got it pointed straight ahead. I'm going to just back these two screws out. I'm not going to move the base. Take these two screws out. Pull this top off. Just pull the lens off like this. So I'm going to take, I ended up refurbing my boat, and so I don't have any existing holes. They were all torn up. I'm going to take my pen and just mark right where these holes need to be so I can drill. Alright, I've got my 3 holes marked. Now, when you drill into your boat, I'd recommend go ahead and pull these wires back out so you don't accidentally drill through them. They're just camping out down there. Alright. Alright. We're just going through it's just a layer of fiberglass. There is sometimes there's wood back there. We're not having to go down far. See if y'all can see that. Make sure you don't hit your wires. Okay. Before we actually attach the screw that back in, of course, we need to get our wires prepped. You don't want too much extra wire in here. I ran new wires, so I've got about that much. I'm going to put 2 female ends on this side. These, I like the way these heat shrink crimp ends work. You just slide it in there, get your crimp tool, line it up for the correct size. There you go. We'll put the heat gun on that in just a second. Line this one up. Slides in there. Good and pushed all the way in. A lot of different ways you can connect these. You don't have to, if you don't have a crimp tool or something like that, that's fine. Alright. Let me get the heat gun. If you haven't done anything with heat shrink tubes or heat guns, it's fantastic. You're just going to apply heat to the wire side, not the connector side, of this connector, and it'll just shrink it down. Be careful not to put too much heat on anything on your boat that you don't want to get hot. There we go. Got a good connection there. All right, so there we have it. Let's see if we can zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, so we got 2 connectors crimped on. Put the heat gun on the heat shrink side of that. Got a nice, good connection on that side. All right, let's go ahead and put the connectors on the other side here. Sometimes these wires are real small. They're really tiny wires. Sometimes in these connectors, I'll double them up. So there's a little more in that connector. There we go. Alright, so then we take our other ends, our male ends, stick them in here. Alright, that one's good. Alright, so now I got those connectors. And take the heat gun on here, shrink down that tubing. Be careful, those are hot after they're got the heat gun on it. All right, let's come back over here to the boat. Okay, now I'm just going to put these together. It's still pretty warm. Alright, now I got our connections in there. Put our wires back down in this hole. Hopefully everything will fit in here like it's supposed to. Turn those down. There we go. Alright. Okay. Got everything kind of in there. Now we just need to make sure you get your holes turned the right way and lined up. Now, before we actually screw that down, we want to put some sort of adhesive caulk on the bottom of that, both in your screw holes. Not really adhesive caulk, just caulk. So I'm using, this is, you don't want to use 3M's 5200 or anything on this. You're going to use something that's more of a sealant versus a adhesive. I'm just going to put a little bit on each of the screw holes. As well as all the way around to create a nice perimeter seal to keep water out. There we go. I'm using, you can use different products, some sort of silicone marine rated sealant. That's some Total Boat sealant that I really like. Let's see, before I set this down, let me get this thing lined up back where it's supposed to go. Alright. Kind of hard to see your screw holes there, but let's see. Get my screws. Get one of these down in here. It'll help me find that initial screw hole. There it is. All right. Take a screwdriver or your screw gun. It's going straight down. Don't want to overdrive it. Just get it where it's nice and snug. I'm going to finish it off with a manual screwdriver. Get it all the way down there, but so I don't strip anything out. But you feel it a lot better. Yeah. Even had a little bit of sealant come out around the edge. That's fine. Clean that up with a paper towel and looking good. All right. Now we got our light there. Then we're going to take our lens. If you notice on the lens, got a black seal on the bottom. Make sure that's in the right spot. There centered. And you'll put that down right there in the middle. So make sure it's seated all the way. All right, one thing I noticed is that the screws I used, while they were tapered, the top of the screw sat slightly above the surface of this black flat part. And that's a problem because the black gasket that goes between your lens and this was not able to sit down flush. So whatever screw you use, you just got to make sure that it sits all the way down in those recesses, so when you put this cap on there, that will sit down nice and tight, keep the water out. So once you've done that, so I just swapped to different screws and then I was fine. So once you've done that, put your gasket down there, put your cap on, take your metal top here, get your 3 screws that you took out of the cap originally. I might have to get a step ladder. I'm short and can't see where those holes are. Oh, there's one. You're just going to put those screws back down into the holes in the black base of this light. Oh, maybe. There's 2. There's 3. I would definitely recommend using a hand screwdriver for this step. I'd get all of them just a little snug first, and then you can come around and tighten them back up. And the reason you need to make sure these are tight, that's what puts pressure on this lens to form that seal. There we go. Lens feels good. All that. Let me go turn the switch on, see if it works. There we have it. Nice navigation light for Specialty Marine. Obviously just repeat, do it on the other side, and you'll be good to go. Hope that was helpful.